again. So many controls. Participants, mute all. Okay, I'm muting everyone, and then if you need to talk, go ahead and unmute yourself for a moment. Okay. So welcome to everyone, friends, families, staff, residents, faculty. We're going to be going over, this is kind of our agenda for the evening. So Dr. Myers is going to give a brief year in the review for the division. Dr. Hamilton's going to give some perspectives on the residency. We will celebrate our graduating chiefs with a light roasting. And then kudos to our fellows, presentation of some awards, and then any other additional comments that I've forgotten, additional congratulations and things like that. So I will pass over the screen to Dr. Myers.
Well, Sarah told me to say some words about what it means to graduate as a surgeon and a urologist. So I'll just keep it very brief about the changes in urology this year, and then I'll talk about the meaning of this to your families. We had a lot of changes in urology this year. It ushered in new leadership. Blake Hamilton has stepped down starting July 1st after I think close to or greater than 2 decades as program director. Sarah Lenher has taken over this role, and she'll be assisted by Deborah Jacobson as the assistant program director. And then another huge change is that Dr. Patrick Cartwright stepped down as division chief after greater than 15 years of dedication to our division. I'd like to welcome formally our new faculty, at least in this venue. Alex Sanchez in oncology. Kelly Gross will be starting in mid-July in infertility. Wally Curry has joined us in general urology with that amazing headband. John Smith in general urology and medical urology, and Debbie Jacobson in pediatrics. So a year of tremendous growth. And then of course, we need to recognize the addition of coronavirus and COVID and how we've adapted over the remainder of this year, adapted our operations and continue to take care of patients. So becoming a surgeon is a very challenging endeavor. It requires many key characteristics. One of them is sacrifice. There's economic sacrifice. There's the years of dedication in your education and your practical education. There's missed vacations, missed family get-togethers, missed social life. And so it is no small thing. It is no small sacrifice to go on this road. Another characteristic is aptitude. Some of the most talented academic minds enter medicine, and from them, surgeons and other competitive specialties are selected. Surgeons have characteristics similar to athletes, to musicians, builders, car mechanics. They have an aptitude and a love of skill-based learning, and that's a very special thing. Another characteristic is grit. And from only those people that enter surgery and those that can complete 20,000 hours of training, according to the American College of Surgeons, become surgeons. Malcolm Gladwell, in his book Outliers, in addition to Macklemore, said that it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert. So it takes 20,000 hours to become an expert surgeon. However, there is a lot of paperwork involved in intern year, and so that accounts for probably the difference between 20,000 and 10,000 hours. Another aspect of grit is having the pure will to get up day after day and do surgery. No matter the consequences to self, the death of a patient, or the multiple other reasons that beg you to quit during residency. every surgery resident is a Cal Ripken at heart. And I really believe that. And the last characteristic that I'll talk about today to your families and to you is just heart. Halsted, who is one of the fathers of surgery, said surgeons need the heart of a lion. Part of having that heart of a lion is having the care and the empathy and the love of human condition enough to get up and do surgery every single day. The other part of a lion's heart is courage, confidence, and the audacity to believe that you can cut into a human being and cure a cancer or fix a terrible mistake or injury. Both of the chief residents, Darshan and Dane, exemplify these characteristics. They are ready, they are surgeons. And I mainly speak to Darshan and Dane's families because I want them to fully understand exactly what Dane and Darshan have completed and accomplished with graduating from this residency. In my opinion, there's no greater honor than being called to serve as a doctor and serving as a surgeon. Darshan, just a couple comments about you and Dane. At times, I thought Darshan was an alien sent by a benevolent, very fit future race to help our division with health services research. I realized after working with him over time that he was actually human. He was a lot of fun to be around and a truly studied surgeon. I've rarely known someone who worked so hard and so consistently on improving their surgical abilities. And that characteristic has vaulted you to the level that you're at today. Dane, I admire because of his steadfast nature, his ethics, and his absolute unflappable attitude. Both of these residents have graduated and are electing to continue their training in endourology and infertility. I think fellowship in your cases will be a culminating year of many challenges and many unmeasurable awards. But I want to thank you both personally for your service to our patients. And the reason I say our patients is that we couldn't take care of patients in this academic setting, in this university setting, without you. You are the forefront of the patient care. And so I salute you both, and I thank you both for your years of magnificent service. So thank you very much, and I'll turn it over to Steve and Sarah.
Okay, thank you. I have Blake up next as the program director, outgoing program director, and wanted to see if he would have any words to add as watching them over the last couple of years.
Certainly. Those of you who know me know that I always have a word to add. Residents are in a very interesting position. We ask them to work full-time, and then we ask them to be full-time students on top of that. They're constantly learning on the job. They're working to learn from books. They're reading journal articles, and they're always trying to stay one step ahead of the next question that's inevitably coming their way. It's a tall order. I forget sometimes how hard they work until things remind me, like this week. I was trying to catch up on my signing notes, and I had this whole list of consultation notes because I was on call last week, and there are just things that happen. Difficult catheters that need to be put in, patients with problems large and small that need to be dealt with. And as I went through this list, I recognized that I had talked to them about, I think, all of them, but there was so much more work that went into each of those encounters that I had to put in. And I was so appreciative, and it reminded me of how much they do in a given day. And then Sunday night, I was just thinking I was gonna just skate through the weekend, and about 11:55 p.m. I got a call that an intraoperative consult for a gunshot wound to the kidney, a thing that I have not seen in 25 years. Read about it, heard about it, but I had never been called in to do that. So went in and operated, and it was rather uneventful. Got home, and then got up for my 6:30 meeting on Monday. And I'll tell you, I don't know how the residents do this, but after being up late into the night to go in and carry on a full day of work was just brutal. Of course, there is an age discrepancy. I realize that. But again, made me appreciate how much time and how much effort and how much hard work they do. As a program director, I have the privilege. It's a little daunting when it rolls around, but every 6 months I meet with each resident, and we go over their evaluations and we talk about their progress and their goals. And this is a really interesting opportunity to connect with them. And Sarah, you'll learn to love this as well, because these are real heart-to-heart conversations about things they're concerned about, their dreams and aspirations. And in the process of doing that over many years, these young people become friends, really almost like children. I feel that kind of kinship with them, and that concern for their well-being and for their eventual success. And I think all of the faculty feel that way, that sense of stewardship and responsibility and accountability to the residents for their education. I've often said, I always say, that residency and residents and faculty have an implicit social contract, which is this: you work hard, take care of my patients, do a lot of documentation, dictate some notes, see patients in the emergency room, and in return, I will teach you what I know. I will teach you how to do what I do. I will teach you how to think like I think. And when both sides of that bargain are fulfilled, it is a wonderful relationship indeed. And so I would say about Dane and Dershan, as I look at them, we sat together, four of us, the core competency committee is what it's called. But every 6 months we assign milestone grades. This is on a scale of 0 to 5. The expectation is that you're about a 4 in each of 34 different domains by the end of your residency. And both Dane and Dershan scored 4.5s and 5s on a number of things. Both solid performers, but very different. They scored high marks in different areas because each individual brings their own brand of strength and resiliency, intelligence, and capacity to the job. And so both to Dane and Dershan, I congratulate you on your excellent performance and remind you that your residency is goes all the way through Tuesday, Dane.
Sorry, I had fellowship.
Oh, right, sure. Dershan is going to stay with us. I operated with him today. I thanked him for being such a diligent chief resident to the bitter end at the VA, something we don't always see. And he reminded me that he was going to stay on as a fellow and had to kind of keep his nose clean. I've also operated with Dane this month, as he's been on our service at the university. Both exceptionally talented surgeons, very capable, bright futures ahead of them. I wish you well. I look forward to our long collegial relationship together. I happen to be texting one of our former residents today, Mike Taylor up in Boise. And I remember with great fondness the residents that go before, and you will forever be part of my history and part of my life. And I look forward to seeing you at many meetings in the future and fielding your occasional phone call when you need some advice. So to both of you, congratulations. To the rest of the residents, I'll see you next week.
Has it been rough with the VA, Dersha?
It's terrible.
Okay. Anyone want to add in anything else right now? Should we pass things? Thank you, Blake.
I could speak. I wrote something.
Would you like to do your thing now? Go for it.
This will be my own personal thing. No, not an award yet.
Don't worry.
Perfect. Okay. I've told a lot of you this story before, sort of my past. But on December 20th, 2013, I received an email from the associate dean of my medical school. It was a link to an article entitled "Grit: What Sets High Achievers Apart." 4 years earlier, I had been rejected from all the medical schools I applied to. 3 years earlier, I had received my one and only acceptance into medical school at Creighton University School of Medicine in Omaha, Nebraska. The first sentence in the article read, "Grit is the passion and sustained persistence applied toward long-term achievement with no particular concern for rewards or recognition along the way. It combines resilience, ambition, and self-control in the pursuit of goals that take months, years, or even decades to accomplish." About 1 month later, after 21 interviews, I failed to match into urology. That point in my life is what I would call a rough patch. I spent days in a fog. I reached out to multiple programs for feedback on what to do. The program director at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester said, "Don't bother reapplying. It usually doesn't work out." Interestingly, he selected me for his fellowship 5 years later. So that worked out. Contemplating my next move, I reached out to Dr. Jeremy Myers at the University of Utah regarding a urology research position, with the caveat that the faculty had decided unanimously that the next research fellow would not match into the program. It wasn't entirely true, but it's something that I wouldn't change at all. The next day, I received a call from Dr. Jack Elder, the program director at Henry Ford. He offered me a 1-year, no credit position as a clinical urology fellow. I decided I couldn't take another year of urology interviews. I was ready to start my life. So I interviewed for internal medicine at my medical school. I was offered the position the same day, unofficially. That's sort of a major red flag. But I called Dr. Elder back, told him I had decided to pursue a residency in internal medicine and that I was declining his offer. He told me, "That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'll give you 2 days to make the right decision." And then he hung up on me. As much as I didn't want to work hard or put myself mentally, physically, or financially through interviews again, at least one person thought I could do it. So I moved to Detroit, Michigan. Over that year, I gained applicable urology skills. I wrote research papers, and I reapplied to urology. During the urology match cycle part 2, I reached out to Dr. Hamilton after having interviewed at the University of Utah for the second time. He wrote me back an email that said, "I want so bad for you to be a urologist and live the dream." And then in fine print, he wrote at the bottom, "Although you may not always think so during your residency." Keep in mind, we barely knew each other at the time, and I had just had a terrible interview at the University of Utah. So that was kind of uplifting. After 27 interviews in my second cycle, I did successfully match in urology at the University of Utah. So it's with great pleasure I get to fulfill one of Dr. Hamilton's greatest desires, and that's me graduating from residency and actually becoming a urologist. It's been a very, very long road. I finally made it. There's a number of people that I want to thank. First is my wife. We met my sophomore year in college at Arizona State. She has been with me every single step of the way in this long, winding road. She's moved with me multiple times. Moving from fellowship to Minnesota will be our 5th move since college. She did my laundry, she cooked me dinner, and it's always been someone I can complain about, all of you too. So she holds my deepest, darkest secrets. Emily, you will never truly understand the personal struggle it has been for me over the last 15 years. But thank you so much for being so understanding and always being there for me unconditionally by my side. I would not have been able to complete this journey without you. I want to thank my mom and my stepdad. They once told me that if I ever had a problem, wherever I was, they could be there in person the next day. There were several times in medical school I nearly took them up on their offer. Thank you for always being there, even when I wasn't there for myself, and supporting my dream of becoming a physician, especially for encouraging me to avoid internal medicine and continue pursuing urology. I want to thank my dad and my stepmom. I was looking at my old emails recently. I got one from my dad. It was from early in my first year of medical school. I was having kind of a tough time. Thought I wasn't smart enough to be there. Maybe the admissions committee had made a mistake. And the email said, I would not bet against you. I see no chance that you can fail. You have all the tools you need to succeed. It's time to turn them loose. That was a pretty solid bet. Thanks for all the support along the way. I want to thank my brother, my grandparents, my in-laws, Terry and Gail, and the rest of my extended family, just for all the support that you give me over the years. The support staff at the university and all the surrounding hospitals. Katie Lloyd, especially at the VA. She's one of the few nurses in the universe that understands my personality. So I thank you for always being there for me. And Elizabeth Lignell, just taking care of everything during my residency and responding to emails on the weekends. You're the only person I know that does that. I want to thank my fellow residents, especially Dershan. It has been a great 5 years, and you've been a fantastic co-resident. We spent all of our meetings hanging out together, get to know each other well, and I hope we keep that friendship in the future. To my junior residents, you've done a fantastic job. I think we leave the program in great hands. And then I want to thank the fellows. Kelly, we didn't work together a ton, but it's great to have you coming on board. You already know how things kind of work here, so it'll be good for residency transition. Ross, I'm really glad that you stuck around here for a year. I really, really enjoyed operating with you. And I wish you the best of luck in Reno. You're going to do great. And then lastly, I want to thank my faculty. I had sort of a victory tour over the last month and a half, and operated with a lot of different attendings. And you've each left me with a positive memory that I can go out on, which is great. Everybody in medicine is talented and intelligent. Grit, or the guts one has to not only get in the ring, but stay in the fight, is what truly separates good residents from the great. To my faculty and fellow residents, I challenge you to continue selecting residents that display grit. Research has shown it plays a more important role than anything else for achieving goals in health, business, and life. It's not something objective like a high step score or a first author research paper, but is a trait all our current residents display. It's an intangible, and it's something that has made our program great. Lastly, I'll leave you with this. Life is like a dick. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, but it won't be hard forever.
Thank you, Dane.
Edit.
Nope, we don't have to edit.
Well, thank you, Dane, for sharing that. It's definitely very moving and inspiring. I had a similar, situation as Dane in 2014. It was a very challenging match year, and unfortunately, it was extremely surprising that I didn't match, and it was a huge obstacle. And kind of navigating that was extremely challenging, and had to really find people that I could really count on for support and guidance. Thankfully, Dr. Myers, Dr. O'Taylor, and Dr. Brandt, they took a gamble on me. I never interviewed. I didn't even apply here the first time that I interviewed for urology, and they invited me to come out here and do research for a year. with the expectation that there was no way that I was going to match here. And, I thought that was fine. I was going to really put in some work and, try to do as much as I could from the research front, and more so make good connections and look for that guidance to kind of get me in that next step to get me back in urology. It was a very productive and, fruitful year, and did a lot of great research and made a lot of great relationships. And overall, I loved it here. And that's one of the main reasons that I really wanted to stay. And, that was somewhat of a challenge, trying to convince people to, open things up for me again and, have me stay here and do residency here. But looking back, it's been amazing. And I want to thank everyone that's really helped shape, who I am and through this kind of whole process. And, there are lots of people, not only all the attendings, the nurses, physician assistants, all the other junior residents that really have, helped, shape and kind of provide that extra training that, we were needed. Like Dane mentioned, this is certainly unusual, especially with doing a virtual graduation and kind of having a change of pace in terms of, our usual operating. Things I didn't think my last 3 months in urology would have been, the way that they are now. But it's been nice in terms of, meeting and, chatting with, folks that I've worked with over the years, and, solidifying those relationships. I lastly want to thank my wife, Amy. She has been with me for over 10 years, and, she didn't really initially understand the whole sell of Utah. And now that having moved here for the last couple of years, has really loved the place. And, we're very excited to welcome a baby girl here in October. So it's going to be really awesome. And I also want to thank my family. They've always been extremely supportive, and I've had a lot of faith in me. There have been times where, I've had second thoughts about certain things. And they've always, told me to kind of, keep moving forward. And if there's something that you want to do, there's definitely a way to get it done. So I'd love to thank them. All right, cool.
Thanks, Darshan. Congratulations. Feel free to unmute everybody and say anything you want right now. I'm going to get Dr. Summers queued up in a moment. Steve, you want to try to share, or do you want me to go on to something else and see if there's...
Nope, I can share. Sure.
Okay, we're gonna revisit a light roast, which has not been necessarily done in the most recent years, but we have to highlight some aspects of Darshan and Dane on their way out. So Steve Summers. Oops.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I get kicked out every 3 or 4 minutes, so if that's what happens, just bear with me. I log back in. It's the hospital. I think my presentation is too risque, but I was the only one that could carry this torch on safely. So let me start to share here. So, all right. So this is a tribute certainly to the double Ds of our program, Dane and Darshan. And so we have a picture here of, a double D holder. You'll notice that they're not on equal levels, and that varies depending on lots of different things. And so we're going to get into some of those things, but both great residents, and I feel bad saying anything negative after they just, gave us these gut-wrenching speeches, but we must carry on. So Darshan, I like to call him Rico Suave. you know, you look at how Dershan's even dressed tonight, it's like impeccable. He's always dressed to impress, just like Rico here. And the thing that I remember most about Dershan is the very first time that the first year, he was like a mouse, like a church mouse. He'd come to all our conferences and listen, and we all called him Darshan. And he didn't say a word about it. And then he matched with us, and one day it just came up. I'm like, why do you call yourself Dershan and we call you Darshan? I mean, what's it supposed to be? He's like, it's actually Dershan. And I felt really bad because we had called him the wrong name for a year, and he never said a word to us. That's the kind of man he is. He just, you know, takes it.
You're right.
When I did a quick Google search, which is what I like to do to get all my information on people, is you know, what can I find out about Dershan online? Surprisingly, he has outstanding rankings. He is a 5 of 5 on this position. I got lots of great information. He's a doctor. He's located in Salt Lake. He has another office in Salt Lake. He specializes in urology. He speaks English. But he had 14 ratings. When I went through all.
Oh, hold on. We might have lost Steve. Oops. Hold on, Steve. Did it kick you out there a second?
Yeah, it kicked me out. I'm back. All
Okay.
right, hang
Yep.
on. Sorry. This is
Don't
the
worry.
technology we're dealing with.
We're expecting it.
Let me share the screen here. All right. To the slideshow. Play. Okay, sorry. So when I looked through these ratings, I found that Dershan had actually edited all of these ratings. So I'm convinced that maybe he put them in himself, because he's such a technology guru. He posts the most from us online and is on Twitter the most. He's probably going to get that award that Myers is handing out later. I don't know, but Dershan's all over. The other thing that I know about Dershan is he has a very keen kind of awareness of men's health, and is always trying to get us to sponsor Movember and mustaches for November. And the first year he was with us, I counted, he had about 13 hairs on his upper lip that was his mustache. And I couldn't help but remind me of Justin Bieber here. And there is some kind of resemblance there. But as he's aged, it's more towards this guy on the left. His mustache is filled in. It's nice. He's got these cool, dapper sunglasses that go with it, that really make him stand out. And he has brought a lot of attention to men's health. And I know he's going to go far with that career. I've seen him online. I did some age progression kind of stuff with him to figure things out. I see a future of him perhaps as the entrepreneur of the year. Darshan Patel, right here. I found him online. Pretty amazing stuff. The other thing is, as I started to find more about Darshan, it's very tough. He's very secretive. One of the residents kind of said, you can take the boy out of Philly, but you can't take the Philly out of the boy. And I said, well, what does that mean? There's got to be some history behind that. And it has to do with Dershan's very own personal protective equipment. Now, we all know a great deal about PPE these days. That's all the buzz is. Everyone's talking about wearing your mask. I mean, I just had to tear this off. I couldn't take it anymore in clinic.
Sorry, might have lost Steve for a moment.
I'm back.
I don't know why it's kicking you out like that.
I don't know either. Okay.
Hey, Steve, you should pay your dues more often.
I should. Well, I'm at the hospital. They should. It must be the cutbacks. All right, here we go again. Play from current site. Okay, so I had to get more information on this PPE deal. And it turns out that, you know, Dershowitz, he's not much of a firearms kind of guy, but he's worried about his personal safety here in Salt Lake. And so he likes to carry a 9-iron in the back of his car. And that's what he uses. And I can't help but think that must be some kind of Philadelphia training, because no one else that I know carries a 9-iron, whatever we want to call it these days, just Dershowitz. The rest of us are packing, you know, concealed weapons out here in Utah. So maybe he needs to get with the program a little bit more. But, you know, I think a lot of Dershowitz, I had to edit this picture. He was flipping off the camera, so it's a little blurry there on his hand, but he's a great, outstanding citizen and has been a great resident. I'm excited to work with him this next year and know that he will go far. And I look forward to this entrepreneurial venture that he's going to take us on in his future. So thank you, Dershowitz, for all your hard work. So Dr. Klett, he called himself the Dick Doctor. You know, his Twitter handle is DK Doctor. And I've thought about this a lot. Like, I didn't know if that was Dr. Klett or is that some code? But after doing some online research and going to some very reputable sites, I'm convinced that he's the Dick Doctor. And he's trying to make a name for himself. And I think he's starting out. Now, I don't know why he's planning to go into endourology with that handle. Maybe, I don't know, but we'll get him to rethink that. So when I started talking to his fellow residents about Dane and you know, what's some memorable things, I learned something new about Jello rounds. And maybe Dane doesn't even know about Jello rounds. But every morning when he enters the room, he says, "Jello, Dr. Klett here." And so that's what I'm going to call Jello rounds. I think that's just his chipper way of saying good morning to everyone and giving them their Jello for the morning. I also looked online to kind of see what ratings I could find about Dr. Klett. And different from Dershowitz, he has absolutely zero presence on.
I like how it says I already specialize in stone disease.
All right. Yeah, I like that too.
Mine said ulcerative colitis.
It did. I was going to point that out. It's Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. That's all right. Let's see here. All right. So I learned a lot of other interesting things about Dane, like he's a urologist. He lives in Salt Lake and he's associated with a hospital in Salt Lake. And he's been in practice for less than 3 years. This you might want to visit the site, Dane. It says if it's you, you should click on it and try to give them a little more information because they really didn't know how to find you. But I did find some good stuff as I dug deeper in the bowels of the internet. I found that, you know, Dane really is the poster child of our residency. This is him standing proudly next to his poster that I think he probably sleeps with still. He won an award in Hawaii for this presentation, and on on extravesical reimplantation and kind of cost analysis, and Dane really has done a good job with carrying on some of that research that he started at Henry Ford. But even though he's our poster child, I think there's another side of Dane that we don't know. And this was him when he was asked to go and do another Myers clinic. And he almost died. I thought it was one of those times where he wanted to pick up the phone and call his parents to come pick him up. And this was just yesterday. So, you know, we're glad you're almost there. You only got a couple more days, Dane. Just hang in there. Myers doesn't have any more clinics this week. So I think you're in the gold. I also had to do an age progression for Dane. This is what I think he's going to look like. I don't think he has the entrepreneur thing, but he did develop some kind of drill that he's going to use for stones. And I'm trying to encourage him to quit smoking. I think as a physician, he should know that that's bad for his health. The other thing I can't help but think about Dane is his firm belief in juice cleansing. This is a picture taken as he was trying to pull the car over to make it to the restroom after taking one of his juice cleanses. And he tried to show me these before and after shots, that how efficient this was. Yet he keeps doing it. So I don't know if he just keeps bouncing back and forth, but he was trying to tell me all the good things with these juice cleanses. He seems to only want to do them at the VA though. So there must be some correlation with caring for the veterans and juice cleanse. It brainwashes him somehow. But I will never forget the juice cleanse. And if only he would drink it. You guys missed the punchline of that.
If only he would drink.
If only he would drink the juice instead of giving it as an enema. That is mind-blowing to me. But then again, the VA doesn't have any food to eat. It is a food desert from last I heard. And so it makes sense. That's probably why he's doing the juice cleansing there. But I'm gonna let him just stick with his own juices for now, and take that on with him to Rochester. Hopefully he can convince someone there to drink the juice, because we weren't drinking his Kool-Aid here. So that's it. I have loved working with you guys. You're great, a couple of residents. I have learned a lot from both of you. You bring a lot of talent and have a lot of grit, as we've discussed, and I think you're going to go far. And I'm happy to have worked with you and call you as colleagues.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Let me find where I'm supposed to be. This one.
Jeremy did just share about, it reminded me of the VA and the food there. He shared a sandwich with me one time when I was an intern, and it was almost a tactic that took me out permanently. I called in sick one time in my residency. I was on my deathbed, and it was that sandwich at the VA that Jeremy got me. So yeah, thanks for reminding me of that.
So we have some outgoing fellows also. I think the majority of them are actually on this call. I saw Ross. I think I saw Kelly. I know I saw Neha enjoying the outdoor Utah evening. Soren and Trevor are also on the call. So anybody in particular have any words to share about these outgoing fellows? I just want to give a high five to everyone. I've put their destinations on here. Soren, again, will be staying with us as our new resident, our new intern, and Trevor, our research fellow from oncology, is heading back to finish up medical school. So he took a year off to join us. So anybody in any particular order want to give some shouts out or any comments on our outgoing fellows?
Neha, I don't want to forget about you.
I just want to thank you all for your work over the last few years. It's been great to work with you, Ross. We had a fellows graduation. Elaborated much more. Can you hear me okay? I really have enjoyed having you here. Soren, I'm so excited. Soren, I'm so excited that you're staying here, and I officially on this call abdicate any expertise in renal trauma research to you as the true expert. Neha, it's been great to have you here the last year. I just learned how to spell your last name for sure. It was great to have you at the university working with us for a couple of weeks. I really enjoyed that. And Trevor, don't forget us in a couple of years. We loved having you here as a research fellow, and you'd be a great addition here as a resident.
And I would just, if you guys can hear me, I would just echo what Jeremy says. I was actually telling Dane in the OR today, I feel like I'm getting old because I've seen now Dershan from interview for being a research fellow to interview for a resident to come and stay with fellowship for us. But you know, Ross, it's been great working with you. Kelly, I'm super excited that you're gonna stay here and join us. And Soren, it's really incredible to see how much you've developed over your time here. I mean, your writing has come unbelievably far. And interestingly, just to share an anecdote, we recently submitted a grant as part of a P50 application, and everybody was blown away by the part that Soren and I did. And I would echo what Jeremy says, and I think Soren now writes much better than I do. So congrats to all of you guys. And I actually know Neha from when she was a resident at UIC. So it's kind of come full circle. And Trevor, yeah, don't forget us.
Neha, I didn't want to forget about you. I haven't done peds. I've tried to block that out of my mind. But thank you. You've been fantastic. So you're going to do great with the residents and everybody at Mount Sinai. So good luck in the future.
If I could just take a minute, can you guys hear me? So I'm the Fellowship Program Director for Pediatric Urology, and while the lesser fellowships only require 1 year, our Pediatric Urology Fellowship requires 2 years. And so I want to congratulate Neha on completing her fellowship. She joined us from Chicago, like Jim said, and dove really right into the work. She ran our service very smoothly. I felt like she really worked well with the residents and students that were on our service. She meshed very nicely with our office staff. She engaged in the research projects we assigned to her, and even kind of went off on her own and did some nice projects with Bridget Smith on education-related topics. She took great care of our patients. She's an excellent surgeon, and she will be a great asset to the children in New York. We will miss her dearly, and in particular, we will miss all of the crafts that she always brought in and had us participate in during the holidays. So thanks, Neha, for all of your hard work. And I also want to say congratulations to the other fellows, and particularly to Darshan and Dane, and wish you all well.
Hey, this is Pat. I switched over to my cell phone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, my computer wasn't working well. I would add to sort of what Chad said about Neha, that there are a few people that are as universally appreciated around the entire hospital as Neha has been. You ask anybody there, they love working with her and will enjoy that. Can you guys see me on video or no?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, so Neha has a unique way that's always makes me laugh, of requesting things. It's like having a second wife who has an opinion when they ask you. She'll say, do you want to put that patient on gentamicin and Clinda today? And she's nodding at the same time with her answer. And you look, I think I know what your opinion is here, but it makes me laugh every time. So Neha is fantastic. She's made a ton of progress and is a really fine fellow and has contributed a ton to our program, and we'll miss her. Ross, same thing with you. We loved working with you. We wish you the best with everything. You were fantastic in lots of roles that you filled at the University of Utah. And with Darshan and Dane, both you guys are stellar. You're fine docs. I would send family to you guys in a minute. You were both meant to be docs, period. Darshan does get my flip-flop award for starting as Darshan. And then 30 seconds after he became a senior resident, it was Darshan. It's like, come on, dude. I mean, it took me a long time to get Darshan down, and now I got to do the other thing. So flip-flop award goes to Darshan. Dane gets my sportsmanship award for the Resident Bowl at Rodizio when the game ended, and he said, well, that's effing fantastic. That was a lot of fun and fair. Dane is a competitor, and that was hilarious. But good memories with both you guys. And I would add one more thing to what Blake said about the sort of compact between residents and faculty. And for me, for a resident to really hit 5 stars, you got to really want to be excellent, and you got to want it all the time. both you guys did that academically, professionally, the way you worked, the grit you had, and that is top rating for me. And I appreciate that sort of deeply from both you guys. It's been a great 5 years having you here. I also wanted to, just while I have it for a second, sorry, Sarah, give Blake a major shout out for his years as program director. Amazing amount of work, amazing amount of caring. And Blake was a right-hand man to me on lots of things, and it wouldn't have been the same without Blake doing that. And now Sarah and Debbie are taking it, are going to be fantastic at it. Appropriate time to change, everything shifts over time. But really appreciate it, Blake, pretty deeply, and thank you for all that. For the rest of the research fellows, excellent job on everything. I think those are most things I wanted to say to folks. And welcome actually to Zach and Soren as our new interns. Thank you, guys. That's it.
Thank you, Pat. So we'll go on over to some awards. So first up, Jeremy, you want to do your 2 awards? I think you have 2 to give away.
Yes.
I'm going to pin you up large here for people.
Dershan did not win the social media award.
That is shocking.
Also felt he was going to be a shoo-in. But when I actually did the analytics, Dershan, you fell so far behind. And the award, it was a bit of a disappointment. The award, though, hands and shoulders above, goes to Neha. And she tweeted about her life. She tweeted about her experience as a fellow. She tweeted about academics and urology and pediatrics from meetings, from papers. It was great content to support our site and just to stimulate interest, the best part of social media. So you can imagine that this is a iPad Pro, and it would be, if you turn it over, it kind of looks like one. See? But I'm very sorry, Neha. All I have for you, given the calamity of COVID, is this wonderful plaque that I hope you will have on your very large office in New York for years and years to come. And thank you all so much for the contribution. And next year, I hope that we'll have an iPad Pro to give to someone. So that should stimulate some interest among the residents and fellows. Thanks again, Neha. I'll give this to you if you'll be at the in-person graduation this Saturday. If not, we can mail it. The second award is a new award, and it's one that I took a small prerogative in making at the suggestion of Blake Hamilton, and it's the Chiefs Award. And it's a way that I see that I can exert some influence and recognize faculty, residents, fellows, whoever has made a real contribution to urology or to the division of urology. So this year, it wasn't very hard for me to think of who I wanted to give this to. And this individual has served as a mentor to me here more than anyone else in my career. He's consistently encouraged my best and really beyond my best. And he gave me a book that kind of illustrates the type of mentor he is, which is called Multipliers. He's always been available to help me with encouraging words and a keenly analytic mind. And it's only now that I realize and I fully appreciate how much work and love he has put into this division after taking over as Chief of Urology. The award reads, for a career devoted to mentorship and building the division of urology. And so the first Chiefs Award, it's really just an absolute honor and a pleasure to give it to Pat Cartwright. And Pat, I salute you for everything you have done for this division through thick and thin. You've helped develop this to a point, jumping off point where we have just a fantastic future ahead of us. And it makes my job easy to take over and continue to encourage the division. So thank you very much, Pat. This does not come with an iPad Pro, but it comes with something that I think you'll relish even more. And if you don't know it, Pat is an avid drinker of whiskey sours. He's studied the recipes and he understands the perfect whiskey sour, how to whip the egg whites. I think he actually chips the egg whites out of the eggs in order to whip them to get the right consistency, the right whiskey to use, and just the right simple syrup. But one thing, Pat, I know you don't have is the perfect cherries for your whiskey sour. And I discovered these cherries at High West many years ago, and you have to order them from some obscure company in France to get them. And so I have this huge jar that will probably last you at least a month, I hope, maybe a little bit longer, although it is COVID times. These are great cherries that I will send your way for your whiskey sours. So thank you, Pat, for everything over the years. Thank you for hiring me 13 years ago and for encouraging me in my direction and being my mentor.
Thanks, Jeremy. That's the division's such an important thing. We're lucky to have Jeremy in the position, sort of a gold-hearted academic guy leading us. And thanks to all of you guys. It's always 51% of the job. The fun of the job is who you work with. And this has been a lot of fun for me. So thank you. I'm honored by that and I appreciate it.
The residents, I believe, are up next with a faculty teaching award. Is that correct, guys?
Yep, that would be me.
Dane, are you awarding yourself faculty teacher?
Not this year.
You won last year, so.
So the Urology Resident Teaching Award has been given out one time in the last 5 years, so the time I've been here. This will be my first time during residency that a physical award is being given, and the award looks fantastic. I want to thank the division for supporting this both now and in the future. I think it's really important to give recognition to our exceptional resident educators. The Faculty Teaching Award this year was selected through a resident vote, and every single resident cast a ballot, 1 through 5. Starting out with the runner-up, this year's runner-up was Dr. Christopher Deckett. He has an uncanny teaching style, but he has endeared himself to the residents, including myself, providing appropriate autonomy, immediate feedback, and life lessons through impromptu lectures in various locations throughout the hospital. Even at the VA, where we sneak him in the back door every few years for a case. Though he didn't win this year, I just wanted him to be aware of the lasting positive impact he's had on both myself and the rest of the residents in this program. And now on to the winner. Up here. The individual selected for this year's award has come up in numerous conversations over my years of residency as a candidate for top surgical educator within our program. This person discusses surgical cases prior to the start to define reasons we are doing it this way instead of that way, goals of the case, common pitfalls, adverse events, imaging review, and expectations of the resident during the case. This person takes the time to provide intraoperative teaching, including tips and tricks that stick with you for years to come. Following the case, they provide immediate feedback that's actionable, both positive and negative. Though this person can be rather intense in the operating room, known to berate residents for the use of Hibiclens on genitalia, even though betadine is now study proven to be inferior, the story is much different in clinic. Takes probably more time than needed to go over every single aspect of a patient's case, and to discuss important take-home points on even the most basic patient visits. I have done many surgical cases with this person. I've done a little bit of clinic with this person. And I learned a great deal of practical urology, and more importantly, the unwritten art of medicine. And to always remember, guidelines are guidelines, not rules. Through my years of training, I have felt in the eyes of this individual as progressing from an underling trainee to a colleague. And in some way, this has allowed me to get a greater understanding of all those teaching points, and they stick much better. Outside of clinical urology, I consider this person a confidant and personal mentor, providing unbiased opinion, even when you would like some biased opinion on your side, and other advice on numerous topics. This person has served a very important role within the University of Utah Urology residency program over at least the last 2 decades, providing guidance to countless medical students, some who are lost, not knowing what their next step should be, and dozens of urology residents. I can't help but think of this award as somewhat of a lifetime education teaching award. So it is my honor and privilege to award this year's Urology Resident Teaching Award to Dr. Blake Hamilton. And this is what the award looks like. It's still wrapped in plastic to keep the fingerprints off of it. So we'll give you that on Saturday at the in-person event.
Thank you, Dane. Very kind words. You all, if there's anything I could impress upon you as your program director, it was that I was always on your side, and I always tried to have your back. And I think that's been a great thing, because you need somebody on your side, somebody in your camp when you're a resident. You work on an uneven playing field. You're always on the short end of the power struggle. And I think it's the duty of a program director to help you succeed despite that. So thank you for your kind words. I understand there's some controversy about Hibiclens, although on the bottle of Hibiclens, it says not to be used on genitalia. I quote word for word.
You've made that very clear.
Nevertheless, it has been my honor and my privilege to be the program director. I love working with residents. It's a great part of what I do. It is truly my life's work to be a surgical educator. So thank you for the award.
And then I just want to say a few words about Dr. Hamilton. Dr. Hamilton, thank you so much for your dedication to our residency program and your impact on generations of urologists. If you look back, you've shaped the careers of over 40 urologists during your time as residency program director. And all of us have really fond memories of, those, in the OR or in clinic or even out in the hall or, on the wards or whatever. You're a great physician, you're a great surgeon, great educator, but most importantly, you're a great human being. Thank you for really being a great role model for all the residents, and we're really grateful for your service.
Yes, thank you. And I did have one more award to announce tonight. And this is kind of an unusual award. We haven't done it in the past, probably because we don't really want to be pitting residents against each other. But this year, I'm pleased to give out the Intern of the Year award. There was just such great standout performances that we felt like we had to recognize them. And this intern, they were always early to prep patients in pre-op. They seem to spend extra time with the patient and their family, teaching them about procedures and post-operative care. They place orders promptly, quickly. They learned Epic, the ins and outs. And after a short time, they were even able to operate without having a senior resident. And this intern also has ties to Utah. And it's Wally Curry. Thank you very much for your service this last year. Well deserved. It was a toss up too, but you earned it.
Who was
I
the
was
runner-up
trying
this
to
year?
get that. Come on, guys. I was trying to get that into the word.
Runner up was Dr. Sanchez. It was close.
Any other awards? Any other things that I'm not aware of? Anybody? We are open. The floor is open. So anybody that wants anything, congratulations, guys. You all did a great job. And congratulations to all the award winners. That's really fun. And I'm glad that everyone has been able to participate, and hopefully families and friends and everyone who's watching through YouTube is able to enjoy this too. So thank you so much, everyone, for your participation. It's been really great.